So now, in order to summarize our data by certain variables, we can make use of group by functions, right? So this group by function will define a grouping within our data, right? So we can actually group our data at any time, and the grouping will be retained by any other operation that we're going to perform. Okay, so we can group by as many variables as we like. So let's say we want to group by this variable, right? Let's say grouping. Let's say we're going to use this function. We say group by, right? And then we pass in this data and say we are going to group by this variable. And if we say the head of this data and say we are looking as the head of this data, let's only look at the first 3 observations. So what you realize is that we have grouped by this variable, right? So let me show more of these, and if you run this, you can observe that we have grouped by this variable, right? So what we can also do, we can say let us also see if we're going to use filter to actually find when this equals 4, right? And let us see that we have got that variable, and we're gonna say, see here, it says groups, right? So it will group by this variable when this equals 4, right? When this equals 4. So you can observe also here that this is groups by this variable. Right, so now let's say we want to summarize, right? So we want to summarize that previous column, which is MPG grouping by this variable, okay? So let us observe that. So what we're going to do is we are going to say we want to find the summary of MPG, right? And we are grouping by this variable, okay? So if we're gonna say summarize, and then we pass in this data, we pass in this data, right? And we're gonna say we pass in this data, and what we want is we want the minimum value of MPG. We also want the median of MPG, and then we also want the maximum value of MPG. So if we try to run this, and let us call MPG, and right, and then let's run this, you can observe that we are now getting a summary on the grouped data, right? It has summarized by each level of the grouping variables. So first we have 4, 6, and 8. So it's find the minimum, the median, and the maximum.